Hi everyone, today I'll be doing a demo on one of the projects that I worked on during my final year project called Master's Professional Internship Web Application. This app helps to facilitate the application, allocation, and assessment of credit-bearing internships for NTU Master's students. Essentially, this is a simple job portal. Do note that what you see throughout the demo is not final, as there could be more improvements further down the road. Without further ado, let's get started. So, our application supports three different kinds of users: student users, company users, as well as the admin. So each of these users will show a different kind of interface when we log in after the page. So first I'll demonstrate the login feature here. So if we try and do a login on a user as such, we will show that the student email currently doesn't exist because the first step actually is for the admin to upload the list of students. So I'll log into a demonstration admin account here and we'll see all the different features. So the first thing we'll show is the students part. So firstly, the admin has to upload the list of master students that are currently in the program. So just by providing an Excel sheet, we can upload the list of students, and currently, for example, now that the student is here, the student should be able to log in correspondingly. Okay, so similarly for company users, for example, if a company wants to log in to the system, obviously they won't be able to because currently they haven't registered yet. So they can click on register to register for this system, but they'll still be unable to log into the system because their account would have to be approved first by the admin in order to prevent malicious users from potentially exploiting the system. So similarly, we would have to log into the admin interface and go into user registrations. So here we can see all the users that have registered so far. So the admin can either select a few or select all at once to click approve. Also, when the company registers for an account, an email is automatically sent to the admin user to notify the admin user that a company has registered for the system and is pending approval. So once the admin actually approves the account, an email notification will be sent back to the company user's email account to notify them that they are able to start using the app. So if we try that again, we can see that now the company user is finally able to log in. Next, that's for the login feature. Next, we'll talk about the internships page. So for internships, each user would have a different view of it correspondingly, and that will be demonstrated later down. So the first step would be for the company to actually list their internship job listings on this page. So over here, we can create a professional internship. So for example, I'll just type in some sample values here. And the description. So here we can create a professional internship, and if we go back to the view, we will see that what we've just created has appeared here. So the description that is shown in this table will be a shortened version of the full description. So if the company chooses to view the full version or edit any information here, we can actually click on the edit button on the row and view or edit accordingly. So for example, if the company user has keyed in a wrong value, they can come inside here and edit the values accordingly and click save, and this will be reflected in the system and in the database. Similarly, we can also do a delete as well, which will delete the entire entry as a whole, and it will be gone. So all these table edit and delete functionalities are present for all kinds of tables that have the authority to do so. So I won't be demonstrating those features later on. So for now, let me just create this mock data again. And of course, a company can also create more than one listing for their internship. So this means that if a company is hiring more than one person for one role, they would have to list them in this manner, whereby they call the roles 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So if we go back here, we can see that what we've created is reflected here. So next, if we actually log into the admin view, we can see that the newly created listings by the new account is also reflected here. So actually, if there is a use case whereby a certain company is unable to list their internships through the portal, the admin can also do the same thing for them. So admins can also create, basically admins can do everything that the other users can do. So in this case, the admin can also create a listing for them. So the important field to note is contact email, because this is what matters to show that this is what that is tagged to the company user itself. So if we create the listing on the admin's page, we can see that it is shown here as well. And if we log back into the company interface, it will be shown here as well. Okay, so the next step, actually, once all the companies have listed their internships on the portal, it would mean that the students would then be able to view the listings on this page. So if we go to the students view, we can also see that the newly created listings are here as well. So as a student, the next thing to do is that we can click on the details to look at the full description, responsibilities, so on and so forth, and we can apply as well. So this apply button is only here to facilitate application for the student, as it has no functionality within the system itself, because presumably we assume that students should be contacting the emails privately, as that is a better means of communication rather than through this platform itself. However, if the student wishes to use the platform instead, they can also provide their preferred name here, their preferred contact email here, a link to their resume, as well as a message to the hiring manager. So at the moment, this app itself doesn't support the actual uploading of a resume into this application. However, in the future, we should be able to support that. So, but for now, the user would have to provide a link to the resume. So when the student clicks apply, what this does is it basically sends an email to the company user that is provided here about the details that the student has input in that page. So presumably the company user and the student will then exchange their contact information, perform the respective interviews privately, and that's about it for the internships feature. The next feature is the offers feature. So the next step is actually once the company user and the student have reached the offer stage. This means that the student has done well in the interview, so on and so forth, and and when the company is ready to offer the position to the student, presumably the company would privately offer this position to the student via their private emails as well, but they would have to use this this application to write an entry into the system, since this is a credit-bearing internship after all. So this is sort of an administrative step for us to know that which internships are allocated to which student. So in this company page, they can view or extend offers. So in view, it's basically currently empty because this new account hasn't offered anyone yet. Similarly, I forgot to mention this just now, but in all the tables, company users, for example, are only able to view the internship listings that they have listed, as well as the offers that they have given. Whereas in the admin interface, you will see that the admin is able to look at everything. So for offers, we can extend an offer through this page. So we have the position here, we have a list of students to choose from, and we have to input the start date and end date. Yep. So here, as you can see, each company is only able to offer their position once. So they can't offer the same position to more than one student. So the only case whereby they can offer their position more than once is when their internship has already been rejected. So this list here that is shown here will only show the internships that they have created here, and it will only show those that have not been offered or have been rejected. For the students, the available students, on the other hand, the students that can be offered are students that have not been allocated, students that have not accepted or approved any offers. What this means is that because a student could potentially receive more than one offer, we should be able to offer students that could potentially have that. So I'll talk more about that later on. So in this case, we'll just offer two positions to the same student, for example. So the important thing to note here is actually this status. So there are 4 different kinds of statuses for offers. First would be pending. Then depending on what the student chooses, it will either be accepted, then approved, or it will be pending, then rejected. So there are a total of 4 statuses: pending, accepted, rejected, or approved. So for a student, we can go back to a student page there. And similarly, the same thing applies, whereby when a company actually offers a position to a student, an email notification will be sent to them. So in this case, this student has received 2 offers. So what a student can do is make their decision in this page, but obviously presumably they would already have made their decision privately with the company. So this is just an administrative step. So a student can either accept or reject an offer. If they reject an offer, an email notification will be sent to the company user. And if they accept an offer, an email notification will be sent similarly as well. However, once they accept an offer, it will actually automatically reject all other offers. As shown here, there is a double confirmation page saying that this action is non-reversible and accepting an offer will reject all other offers. So we will do that right here and accept. So as you can see, the status has been changed to accepted and the other offer has been rejected. So if we log back in into the company page, we can see that the status has been updated and it has been accepted. So on to the point that I was talking about just now, since this position, software engineer 1, has been rejected already, the company can then actually extend this offer to another student. So it is shown back here that it is possible to. And since that student has already accepted an offer, they will not be shown in this page. So a company is unable to offer students that have already accepted an offer. So if they have accepted an offer or the offer has been approved, then they will not be shown here. So I will demonstrate the approved part later on. Okay. So what is the next step? This is this is all for the offers feature. The next step would actually be allocations. So allocations come in for the admin. Only the admin is able to view allocations. So what allocations is basically what internships are allocated to which students. So students that have just accepted an offer will be shown here in under pending approvals. So what this does is it creates another layer of confirmation for the admin to know that to confirm like which students are allocated to which internship. Only once the admin has approved, then the role will be added into the allocations table in the database. So similarly with the users, the admin can also select some or select all and click approve. Once it has been approved, it will then be known that this student is actually allocated to this internship itself. So there's also a generate report button here. So presumably once all the allocations are final, we can actually click on generate report here, which will generate a report in Excel basically showing the allocations of each student and internship in Excel form. So we can see here basically showing all the information in the table. Okay, next let me see. Okay, so that's for the allocations part. However, if there is a circumstance whereby somehow the company doesn't want to use this portal, or the student is unable to accept the offer or something like that, the admin can also custom create an allocation. In this case, we can choose any role right here. We can choose a student and then we can also select the start date and end date and create an allocation. What this does actually, it just basically bypasses the pending approval stage and immediately creates an approved allocation for that student. So if we go back to the student's account, we can actually see that the approval has been reflected under the statuses. So that's that's for the allocations feature. Next, I'll talk about the last feature, which is assessments. So um, so this stage will be somewhere maybe towards the end of the internship, once the company is ready to give their assessment on the student for their grading. The company can then log in into this system and they can go into the assessments page. So currently it's empty because this company hasn't created any assessments yet. So we can go into the submit assessment page and we can click on the student that belongs to one of the internships that this company has created. So for this student, we can give a grade and a feedback as well. The important part here would be actually the grade itself, and the feedback is just for I guess administrative matters. So we can submit an assessment for the student and we can see that this has been created here. So obviously, if we go into the students page, we can see that the students are unable to view any assessments here. So, but for the admin page, we can actually look at all the assessments that have been created. So similarly, this will be a shortened version, but once we click edit, we can look at the full version as well. Then we can also generate a report for the admin, which downloads an Excel with the full feedback, as well as the grading, whether it's a pass or fail in this case. With that, that is all the features that we have for this application. Another feature on the backend side is actually that we have implemented a authorization check for all types of users. What this means is that it prevents malicious users from potentially accessing backend API resources and looking at information that they are not supposed to. For example, and this is actually two features and two requirements. The first requirement would be that malicious users are not allowed to access any API resources. The second thing would be that authorized users are only able to access some of the API resources. So in this case, for example, the first requirement would be that we don't want any malicious users that are not NTU users or the correct company users to be just simply entering the APIs into their browser and looking at all the internship informations or looking at the assessments informations, because there is a very serious security issue in that case. So how we actually implemented something against that is that the login actually has requests for an access token. So what this access token does is that it has a set expiry date, which means that the student can or the user can only access the system for 15 minutes before having to request for a new token. So that I won't go into the technicalities on that. But basically, what it means is that even if a malicious user does manage to steal a token from a user, they would only have a limited time access. The second requirement would be that wrong users are not able to, or the authorized users are only able to access some resources. What this means is that basically, as a student, we should only be looking at these two resources, and the students should not be able to look at the allocations of other students, and they should not be able to look at the assessments as well. So there is also a check done here. Basically, it is not a front end check, it is a back end check, because if this check was done on front end, the student could basically just manually find the APIs and look up the resources themselves and have access to all the resources. Whereas on the other hand, the backend actually checks for the user's access token, checks for the user type, and filters the results accordingly based on the user type. So what this means is that we have protection against authorized users, like for example, students who want to look at other students' allocations or other students' assessments. They will not be able to do that. With that, I think we've come to the end of the demonstration. Yeah.